Good morning, ECF. So good to see you. And as you can see, I've been out and about and had a little bit of sunshine, maybe more than I should have had, but it's been good to be outdoors and to see things opening up somewhat again. I'm very excited about that. I hope you are as well. And of course, that means that church should be opening up for us pretty soon this morning. Well, as you can see by the screen, my job this morning is to provide us for a call to worship. And let me tell you what happened earlier this week. I think it was Thursday morning, maybe Friday morning. I have a little bit of a quiet time, a prayer time before I ever leave the bedroom on the morning, each morning. And as I was going through my prayer time, a song kept running through my head. Come, let us worship and bow down. Let us bow before before the Lord our God, our Maker. And as I was singing that song to myself, it reminded me that came out of the Psalms, directly out of Psalm 95, which I wanted to come and use as our call to worship this morning. It starts off, "Oh, come, let us sing to the Lord. Let us make a joyful noise to the rock of our salvation." And that's our call to worship this morning, that we would come and sing to the Lord, but not just sing, not mournfully sing, but make a joyful noise to the Lord. And there's times we have to remind ourselves to be joyful, don't we? As John Piper has written, we need to fight for joy at times, especially when the world around us would call us to something else, and not joy nakedly or by itself in the abstract, but a joyful noise to the rock of our salvation, to the assurance, to the firmness who is Christ himself, the rock. And so verse 2 goes on to say, "So let us come into his presence with thanksgiving." You can't find that joy without also going back and remembering the great things he has already done for us, and for the things that he has promised us, and for the things that we know will yet come to pass, for all that he's provided for us. So let's come into his presence and think about that this morning as we're doing this, even doing it by technology, that we come into his presence. We take a few moments to really stop and quiet our souls before him and say, this is what we're about to do. We're not just about to watch some videos or sing some songs or hear somebody talk. We're here together to come into his presence and with thanksgiving make that joyful noise to him with songs of praise. And he's worthy of that praise, isn't he? And so verses 3 through 5, why? Well, because the Lord is a great God. He's not a small God. He's a great God, and he's a great king above all gods. He actively rules, and in his hands are the depths of the earth. There's some teaching around today that intimates that God has somehow abdicated his throne, and it isn't true. He still has the depths of the earth in his hands, and that includes the virus, that includes the nations, that includes the governments, and all that goes with it. The heights of the mountains are his also, and the sea is his, for he made it, and his hand formed the dry land. He owns it all and remains great, the great God over it all. So, oh come, let us worship. And in that worship, let us bow down and kneel before the Lord our God, our Maker. Let's really acknowledge him this morning in this time together, because he is our God. And we, as it says in verse 7, are the people of his pasture, the sheep of his hand. He is the one who has taken responsibility for us as our shepherd, and he won't let us go. And so today, if you hear his voice, he warns in verse 8, don't harden your hearts as at Meribah, as on the day at Massah in the wilderness. Now, what happened there? It's given to us back in the book of Exodus. There in Exodus 17, we're told that God called the name of the place Massa and Meribah because of the quarreling of the people of Israel. Aren't we in a quarreling age? And because, and this is the real bottom line, they tested the Lord by saying, is the Lord among us or not? We can have that in our minds. And at times like this, where there's distress and there are things that we don't understand and there's frustration and there's trouble and trial and difficulty, and we can begin to think that maybe the Lord's abandoned us. Is he really here? Is he really among us or not? And the psalmist warns, don't let your heart go there. No, come back to joyful praise and thanksgiving. Let's bow before him this morning and attribute to him the glory that is truly due his name as he watches over us as our great shepherd. Let those thoughts sink into our hearts as we enter into worship together today. In Jesus' name. Bless you all. Let's worship.